Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thanks for taking time to attend this webinar from all around the world. I see people from registered from different time zones. This webinar will trigger a lot more questions, around the readiness of your current SAP, ECC, or non-SAP applications. Okay, let's get started. So here's the agenda. I'll spend a couple of minutes here. So I'll start with a quick, checklist to make sure, if your current source application is really ready for S/4HANA data migration. Then I'll spend a few minutes on how a simple data assessment can help you to determine the readiness of your current legacy application. And then I'll spend a few minutes on what are all the key factors to be considered before moving to S/4HANA. So this is completely from the source application perspective. And then I'll walk through the key data migration challenges and its solutions, especially when moving from non-SAP to SAP. Okay, will be open for your valuable questions. Let's get started. So I'll start with the checklist. Okay, from the readiness point of view, the following items should be taken into consideration. Okay, so the first one is identifying and understanding the source applications. So what are all the source applications available in your system landscape? Is it only SAP ECC, or are there any other non-SAP source applications are involved? Source systems are one of the key factors to determine the type of implementation as well, whether it is going to be a greenfield implementation or a brownfield implementation. In case SAP is the source system and you have, then you have to identify the current versions, SAP ECC version. Is it EHP 7 or EHP 8? And identifying the underlying database is also important. So because it needs to be converted to SAP HANA database in case if it is other databases like Oracle or DB2 or MySQL, if it is any other databases. The next step is identifying the business processes and the relevant migration objects. So the question is like how we are going to map the business process, the current business process, to the SAP S/4HANA standard design. Are we going to make changes to our business process to accommodate the S/4HANA design, or are we going to customize the S/4HANA according to our business needs? But this is a great opportunity to optimize our business functions. Okay, and the next critical thing is understanding the data volume. So what is the data volume we are thinking of to migrate? Like, are we considering the historical data to be migrated, or only open transactions will be migrated? So what are the tables or business objects with a huge data volume? And what is the cutoff date for the transactions that are going to be migrated? So these are some of the critical questions to be answered around the data volume. Okay. And the next important thing is the data quality. So this is one of the key challenges, right? So are we going to take all the dirty data to the SAP S/4HANA? Or we need to understand the current application data quality. Say, for example, incompleteness of the data. So there are, 10,000 customers without a postal code or without a city. There are 5,000 vendors without street. So these kind of incompleteness need to be addressed in the source system itself, or it has to be handled, during the transformation before moving to S/4HANA. Okay? And the data inconsistencies should be addressed in the source system, and duplicate records is one of the important data quality issue which should be addressed in the source. Okay, and the last thing is understanding the customizations. So we might have created multiple custom tables and reports for various purposes in our current system landscape, right? We need to analyze and understand how much of them will be moved to SAP S/4HANA. Okay, all these listed items are related to the source application. Okay, so in the next slide I'll explain how do we can help the customer to come up with the clear solutions for these data migration challenges. Okay, we proceed to the next slide. Okay, so these are based on the target application. The target application S/4HANA. First thing is choosing the right system. Okay, are you planning to go with the SAP S/4HANA on-premise, or is it going to be cloud, private, or then in that case, is it a public cloud or a private cloud? Each option has its own advantages and disadvantages. So to choose a right system, okay, that we have to consider multiple factors, right? So upgrade cycles. You want to upgrade the system quarterly or annually, and implementation and the maintenance cost and performance is one of the key factors to be considered while making this decision. And we have to focus on the implementation strategy. So this is also based on multiple factors, like whether it is a cloud or on-prem. That's one of the key factors based on the target system type, and we have to consider the source applications as well. So if you have only SAP ECC application and running with a fully aligned business process, then going for a technical upgrade, I mean, that is a brownfield, will be a better option. When you have non-SAP applications or SAP ECC business process which requires a lot of modifications, or you have done a lot of customizations which cannot be directly accommodated by S/4HANA, then field would be a better option. Best approaches from greenfield and brownfield can be taken and implemented. Okay. And next thing is the business process optimization. Your current system may have some configurations based on the SAP ECC limitations. Okay, it may have been implemented like 20 years ago. So that time SAP ECC might have some limitations. It might have been implemented with that limitations. So this is a wonderful opportunity to optimize the current business processes and functionalities to be aligned with the SAP S/4HANA design. Okay. And next thing is maintaining the clean data. So in the previous slide, when we talked about the source system, we talked about the data cleansing part, right? So how to get the data clean, right? So then when we talk about the target system, we have to talk about the maintaining the clean data. That's a staying clean, right? So in this case, you have to consider having a data governance engine in place. That's a master data governance solution will help you to eliminate duplicate records or incomplete records being entered by the users. Okay. And the last thing is moving customizations. So as we talked, there could be tons of customizations, and many of the custom reports can be replaced with the SAP S/4HANA standard reports. Okay, but the extensive analysis is required before moving all the customizations from the source to SAP S/4HANA. Okay. So considering all these factors, we talked about a source and the target applications based things, right? So ChainSys can help you to make some key decisions by doing a data assessment on your current legacy application. It could be any ERP, so not only SAP ECC, it could be Oracle EBS or JD Edwards, or it could be Microsoft Dynamics. It could be any ERP application. Okay, and here's the ChainSys smart data approach. Okay, so we will start any data management project, okay, with a detailed data assessment. It saves a lot of time in data migration or in data integration projects. So we have 3 steps: identification, remediation, and the loading and verification. So in this case, I'm going to just focus on the identification step for now. Okay, so we will do a detailed data assessment. Okay, so these are the things that will be covered as part of the detailed data assessment. So we will identify the patterns, especially if it is an unknown ERP application. I mean, there are some applications which are not non-SAP applications, I would classify. Okay, so with the limited resources, okay, for those applications we can identify the data patterns and erroneous data, inconsistent data, incompleteness of the data, and duplicate data will also be identified as part of the identification. Okay, once we identify all the potential data quality issues in your current legacy application, we will go with the remediation. So I mean, we can do the data consolidation wherever we have the duplicate records. We can do the data cleansing, and we can do the data standardization and data enrichments. So these can be done in 2 ways. Like we can update, we can carry out all these remediation activities and in the source application itself, or these can be handled as part of the data transformation as well. Okay, after all these activities, we'll get a clean data. The clean data will be loaded into the target application. It could be S/4HANA or any other application. Okay, and it will be reconciled after loading the data. Okay, so these are some critical activities what we perform in the data assessment. Okay, so we do the data profiling using our data profiling engine. These are completely automated. So within a short span of time, maybe, I would say, if you have 5 TB of data in our current landscape, okay, so then 6 to 8 weeks of time frame, okay, we should be able to analyze, we can profile the data, and we can come up with all these findings, like potential data quality issues, functional dependencies, and duplications, and all the critical data validations. So it will basically let you know whether the system is ready for the percentage of the readiness for SAP S/4HANA. Okay. So these are some sample results from the data profiling. So these are for the incompleteness. I'm just showing a very few results, like city is not maintained for the customer, postal code is not maintained, reconciliation account is not maintained, or currency is not maintained. So these are not just generic, like not for, we are not checking for all the customers. Okay, so if whether it is based on the account group, it is a sold to party, a ship to party, or based on the account group, these checks will be performed. Okay, and these are some results for the potential duplicates. Like so with this, so these are algorithm based, it's not just a 100% match. Okay, these are algorithm based. So for 95%, 12% of the customers are duplicate. For 90%, 14% of the customers are duplicate. So these will provide the data as well to justify all these numbers. Okay, and these are related to the functional dependency checks. Okay, so due to the time constraint, I'm just going through quickly, but if you need more detail on these data sets, if you want to understand more, yeah, I'm always welcome to connect. Okay, so as part of a functional dependency check, okay, so as you can see, 4,300 customers which are created before this date having open sales orders, are there are 1,000 customers which have a deletion flags, but they have open sales orders still. So, okay, these kind of information will be inherited based on the functional dependency. And these are the pre-validations we can perform. Okay, so on the source data set. Okay, so this can be done against a target environment if you already have a S4 sandbox, or based on the source system configuration, these validations can be carried out. Like customer name is not blank, street is blank, no, city is not populated, or transportation zone is not populated. So these are the some sample results, okay, from the data assessment. So I'll just quickly proceed to the next thing. So this is one of the critical thing, like customer vendor integration. That's a business partner consolidation. Regardless of the approach, if you are going with brown field or green field, right? So we have to do the business partner consolidation. Basically, the customers and vendors has to be linked with the business partner, right? So as part of the data assessment, what we will do, so we will do a deduplication, duplicate check within the customers and within the vendors. Then we will consolidate the data and we'll do the assessment, the consolidation process as well. Okay, so for example, so this is a sample results, like so 8% of the customers and vendors sharing same address. So what we are deriving is like who are all the customers acting as a vendors, or who are all the vendors acting as a customers. Okay, so in this way, so who are all the customers and vendors can be linked with the same business partner. Okay, that recommendation will be given. Okay, so while giving this recommendation, the business partner consolidation recommendation will be considering the number ranges. Different account groups, different number ranges as well. Customer sold to party, ship to party. If we take different account groups, it may have different number ranges, right? So similarly for the vendor and consolidating and customer vendor, so the recommendations will be provided. Okay, this is also part of the data assessment. So this is how we help our customers, okay, to save time and cost. So if you see the data assessment and the profiling, okay, so this is where easily we can save 20 to 25% of the customers. Okay, so because initially we are able to identify all the potential data quality issues, okay, and we will be able to identify data structures and the interrelationship among the multiple tables. Okay, and we should be able to identify all the potential duplicates as well. Okay, so pretty much most of the data quality issues can be addressed in the source system itself. Okay, and cleanse, match, and merge. Okay, so in this case, okay, so after identifying all the potential data quality issues, we will eliminate all the duplicates as much as possible. Okay, and we will correct the data errors for incompleteness and for the to eliminating obsolete data which are marked for deletion, which we don't want to carry out to the S4HANA. So those kind of things can be eliminated. So this saves a lot of time in the data migration. So we should be easily able to save 30 to 35% of the time. Okay. And the extraction. Okay, so on the extraction, so we have pre-built extract adapters. Okay, so we can so for major ERP applications, I'll list down the applications as well. So for I would say for now, Oracle EBS, Fusion Cloud, SAP ECC, SAP S4HANA, Microsoft Dynamics, JD Edwards. Yeah. So for major ERP applications, we have the pre-built adapters. So we don't need to spend time in the developing the extraction, developing the extract programs. Okay. If the infrastructure is ready, we can just deploy our extract adapters and we can start extracting the data from day one. Okay. So we should be able to handle structured and unstructured data as well. And these extract adapters are CDC enabled. Basically, the change data capture mechanism is enabled. Okay. So we can pull the delta data easily from the source applications. Okay. As part of the data migrations, all the master data and transactions, okay, it will be loaded with the initial load, and during the cutover window, only the delta will be extracted and loaded. Okay, so this helps us to keep a short cutover window. Okay, so easily we can save 25 to 30% of the time. So you don't need to invest on finding programmers who can develop the extract programs for you. Okay. And the pre-validation is next thing. Okay, so this saves a lot of time in the reprocessing and especially in the data migration phase. Okay, so we may need to, so if we take in standard SAP S4HANA application, if I try to load the purchase orders, okay, it may throw errors. Okay, so like if one specific record has multiple errors, for example, if I take a metal master, so there are some errors in the MRP type, there are some errors in the procurement type. Okay, it'll throw one error at a time, right? So I may end up reprocessing it multiple times. Okay, as part of the pre-validation, so we capture all these errors in the first execution itself. Okay, so I'll just execute the data errors in place as well. Okay, so we can do online or offline error corrections. So basically, I mean, people can log into the application, they can directly correct the data there. If the data volume is huge, or if they are expecting somebody else from, I mean, some other team members to correct the data, then they can download it as Excel and they can distribute it to other team members. Okay, they should be able to do the data correction for them. Okay, and the Excel file can be loaded into the loaded again. Okay, and we have provision for bulk error corrections as well. Okay, so by performing the pre-validation, we can easily able to save overall 30 to 35% of the time in the data migration phase. Okay, map and transform. Okay, so as I mentioned, so we have extract adapters and we have load adapters. So so we are a data management company, so we are doing this for for more than last 2 decades. Okay, so from our experience, we built the mapping for major ERP applications. So if we take Oracle to SAP, so we have mapping available with us. Okay, so for all the standard objects, if we take a procure to pay or order to cash or record to receipt or hire to retire, so for any cycle. Okay, so or make to stock or make to order for any cycle, so we have the mappings available. Okay, so these mappings are at a table level and column level. So when we start the project, okay, we can just deploy these data flows. Okay, so and the data flow, it will be ready for you to do the extraction, transformation, and loading from even the first week of your project. Okay, so we don't need to so on top of it, if you want to add anything else specific to your business, okay, then we can have a workshop and update those mappings. So we don't need to start anything from the scratch. Okay, and we have the cross-reference capability as well. So these are very user-friendly. So if you want to maintain the cross-references for base unit of measure, or if you want to maintain the for storage location or inventory organizations, or for these kind of components, okay, we can let the user to manage the cross-reference, because that's a user-friendly. They should be able to log in into the application and they can maintain that. Okay, And the next thing is a preload reconciliation. So reconciliation is one of the critical thing, critical part in the data migration, right? So we have two kinds of, so we do a three-way match. Basically, we do a preload reconciliation and then post reconciliation. As part of the preload reconciliation, the data will be compared. So whatever was extracted from the source application, it will be compared with the transformed data. Okay. So this, we can download this as an Excel file and we can distribute to for the approval for the other to the business analysts and others. Okay. And the discrepancies are highlighted in these reports. Okay, they don't need to spend extensive time to do the validation and do the approval. Okay. And the post-load reconciliation, once the data is loaded into the target system, okay, the loaded data will be extracted and it will be compared with the source of the transformed data. Okay, so this saves 30 to 35% of the time during the validation of the data migration. Okay, so these are all the inbuilt standard features of our application. Okay, so we can save close to 40% of the time in the overall project timeline. Okay, the data migration projects. Okay, and so this is a simple architecture. Yeah, I'll spend a couple of minutes here. So these are some of the applications where we can extract the data using our pre-built extract adapters. So we support JCO or JDBC, Rust, SOAP, OData, pretty much all the all on-prem and cloud applications we can extract data from. Okay, and these pre-built extract adapters are CDC enabled, change data capture enabled, and the data initial data can be extracted and all the new changes and the delta can be extracted. Okay, and the transformation can be done. Okay, these are inbuilt. We don't need extensive programming here. Okay, and we can pre-validate the data. So based on the pre-validation, if there are any errors or then we should be able to do the data corrections here. If you want to enrich the data, you can enrich it, the data here directly. Okay, and we can do the data construction as well if you want to add a few more records to the existing with the existing records. Okay, and we can do the preload reconciliation, and we have optional load approval. So these approvals are it can be a single or multi-level. Basically it can be serial or parallel as well. Okay, and then the data can be loaded. Once it is approved, then data can be loaded into the target application. So for the data loading, we have the pre-built load adapters. So when we go for S/4HANA, okay, so we have load adapters available for all the standard objects. Okay, so for procure to pay, order to cash, make to stock, make to order, for all the business cycles, so we have the pre-built load adapters available. Okay, so these are some of the target applications where we can load the data. So these are specific to SAP, S/4HANA, ECC, C/4HANA, SuccessFactors, Ariba, Concur. Okay, so regardless of whether it's on-prem or cloud, okay, so we should be able to load the data. So it can be other way around too. So I'm just focusing on the SAP part today, but the data can be loaded into Oracle EBS or PeopleSoft, Microsoft Dynamics. It can be other way around too. Okay. So these are some of the endpoint connectors what we support. So for the data extractions and the data loading. So these are some of the databases. These are some of the enterprise applications and cloud applications. So these are some of the big data. So in case if you are building an enterprise data warehouse, so we can load this data into any of these big data as well. Okay. So here we support the bulk data insert options. Okay, these are some of the enterprise storage systems. Suppose if you are wondering, like, can we extract the attachments from PLM application and move it to somewhere? So we can do that as well. Okay, so these are some of the endpoints. So this is a quick overview. So the floor is open for your valuable questions. Please feel free to enter your valuable questions in our chat. And if you have any further questions, I mean, if I'm not able to address in this session, please reach out to me at this email address. Thanks again for your valuable time.
Thank you so much, Priya. That was an awesome presentation. We do have some questions over here. Let me take the first one. What tool do you use for this ETL process? SAP Business Objects, Data Services, Homegrown, or other?
That's a great question. So for now, so what I've explained is, so this is a ChainSys platform. This is our, ChainSys proprietary product. Okay. So we don't, use any other middlewares in this. I mean, so we don't need to have a license for, SAP Business Objects Data Services or Data Intelligence or SLT, or, we don't need licenses for any of these things.
Priya, is your tool certified by SAP? That's another question.
Yes. Yeah. So we have integration certification for SAP ECC and S4 HANA as well. Yes, we are. It is a certified product. Are there any other questions,
Yeah.
Caroline?
So I have a couple. Can you handle delta migration?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So as I mentioned, so we have pre-built extract adapters, which are CDC enabled, change data capture enabled. So we can extract the delta records, basically whatever new records are entered into the SAP ECC application or any other any other non-SAP applications too. Okay, so we can extract the new records or whatever is modified. So we can handle the delta records. It's all inbuilt within the extract adapters.
Do you perform purging the data and also do the suggest on archiving strategies?
Can you please repeat the question, Caroline?
Sure. Do you perform purging the data and also do you suggest on archiving strategies?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So these are are one of our components like data zap. It handles the archiving and purging. So it's all automated process. So we have a predefined workflow for all the standard objects. So we can do the data archiving, and upon approval, we can purge the data from the database as well.
Okay, there's actually a
So
while we are in a transition. No, like I was just asking that question. There was a continuation there. So do you perform purging
okay.
data and also suggest archiving strategies while in a transition?
Yes. So most of our our customers, okay, when they migrate data from legacy applications to S4 HANA, okay, and they'll try to they want to sunset the current legacy application, right? So they want to archive the data. They want to archive the data and they want to keep it in any of the big data like Azure Snaps or Snowflake or Google BigQ. So any of the cloud location, right? So as part of while they are transitioning, so we will support the archiving. So we'll archive the current legacy application, okay, and we'll provide the data which is accessible for them in the future. So we provide uh, lookalike screens like SAP or Oracle, So in future they should be able to log in into the application, okay. They should be able to browse the data as they used to do. So basically, they don't need to have the current application license for the future. So basically, yeah, but the data, 100% the data will be available, and we can provide standard. We can provide the reports as well based on their customer needs.
Okay.
Yes. Any other questions?
Yes, one question I have. Do you support data migration for SAP IS Retail?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So I mentioned the standard cycles like P2P, order to cash, so those kind of standard cycles. Yeah, we support industry specific solutions as well. Okay. So IS retail, IS utilities, so we support industry specific solutions. So in case of IS retail, I would say, so we have adapters for article master, assortment list, pricing components. Okay. So yeah, so we support other industry solutions as well. Yeah.
Thank you, Priya. It looks like we've covered all our questions. So is there anything else you want to cover before a wrap up?
Yeah, I think, yeah, if there are any other questions, yeah, so people can reach out to me at this email address, or they can, so here's our website. So we have some, great case studies and white papers with our, data migration experiences. So yeah, so you guys are welcome to visit and learn from it.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. We appreciate you being here.